Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards and welcome back to another Craft the Story episode. This week, what I want to do is take you along on a little journey with me where I go back into my 6x8 albums for 2020 and 2021. And what I want to do with these is I want to get things adhered back to back. So I'm not sure what year it was, maybe 2019 was the first year where I really started doing a lot of 6x8, 2018, I'm trying to look over at my, I'd say yeah, even before then. But at some point I started doing things outside the page protectors, which if you've been watching Craft the Story videos or you've seen other projects from me, you've probably seen me doing that. And what I've been doing for the last 2 years essentially is each time I finish a project, often using products from the story kits and from our story kit subscription, I have just been putting those projects or those layouts into random albums. So like I've got one, this is one of the gray linen that we offered. So this one says like 2022 number 2. And so what I want to do today is I'm going to go through and I am going to just get these organized in terms of probably some sort of chronological flow, mainly from beginning of the year to the end. But I want to take care of them in a way where I can see where things are adhered back to back, you know, and some of these it's not going to work because some of them don't have that. But like here's one where I could easily just adhere these back to back. It's essentially kind of I'm cleaning up my albums, I think is what I would say. I'm not taking anything out. I'm just adhering things back to back, kind of looking through. I'm gonna have a lot of places that have blank, like this, the back of this is blank. And I'm okay with that in these albums. So one of the reasons why this year with my 2020 album, I'm starting kind of at the beginning of the album and I'm just adding it in and gluing things down as I go, is so that I don't run into this situation where I have blank pages. With the other one, I'm more actively engaged in the album. So this is that new one for 2022. I'm getting ready to do some projects with the next story kit for the awesome story kit. So story kit subscribers will see those pages coming together and then they'll be adhered back to back. So when I start on the next round of stories, I'm going to start with these two 4x6 pockets here and then figure out how the following ones are going to go. Again, that's in my 2022 album. So what I have again is 3 of my 6x8 albums. And so I think what I'm going to do here in the beginning is I'm just going to record myself going through and adhering things back to back, flipping through. And then at the end of this video, what I'm going to do is go through each one of these albums individually. And I'll sprinkle in some thoughts and along the way as I'm working through that. Again, this is not there's nothing in here that I'm trying to make perfect. It's more just taking a little bit of time to go, okay, look, I have these 2 pages right here. I could adhere those 2 back to back. Or I have another couple outside the page protectors here. I'll just adhere those back to back so that when you're flipping through the album, you're having a little bit more of a cohesive experience. Okay, so this one, so I've got 2020, and then I think this one was 2020 number 2, and then this one here, I think, is 2021, part of 2021. All right, I'm gonna dive in. Now, one of the things I'm not doing as I am gonna go through here is I am not gonna spend a lot of time worrying about chronology and are they in the right order. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do when I actually started the video of how exactly I wanted to go through this, but my main goal here is to simply get these pages adhered back to back. That's going to be my main goal. So where that's possible, that's what I'm going to do. And some of this is going to require going in and trimming. Like I'll probably trim a little bit of this off of here just to clean it up. Again, clean it up being the main goal. So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you guys along on this adventure with me was because I wanted you to see that it doesn't have to be back to back. You know, it doesn't have to be super organized, super clean, you know, you don't have to work in that way. You can just focus on getting the stories told and then you can come back at another point in time and get them organized. That's one option. But the other option then is obviously just like choosing to approach it how I am this year, where I really am just working back to back and going story after story in whatever way I choose to tell them. Okay, so here's a good example. This one's actually a story that is from 2017 that I'm writing about on here. So this is a good example of one. Obviously it could go in another project, but I'm gonna move it just a little bit ahead in here, mainly because it fits on, it's a single page one that can fit on this other, at the back of another single page one. So not getting super caught up in the timeline. That's not necessarily as important as the stories and having those stories recorded. All right, so here's a flip through on that first album. Again, this has a combination of stories. It's 2020, but it's also things from different times. Like this one was 2017. But I wanted to do flip throughs on these three because I haven't shared them in the same way that I've shared some other ones before. I did a video, I think it was in 2019, of why I love the 6x8 albums, and I showed a couple different ones then. So these are ones that you may have seen bits and pieces of here and there. Again, some of these things right here, some of these specific projects are from the hybrid workshop where I am teaching you how to take digital products and use them in paper projects. So you can click the link below to learn more about that. A bunch of these are from there, as well as being from a variety of different story kits. So I think it's nice to just see how these 6x8 albums flow together, as well as how you can be working in and outside of the page protector, and also how it doesn't have to match like one page to the next. It looks like, actually, as I look through most of these, most of the times I am doing a 2-page spread, but I don't always, so you kind of see those mixed in there as well. But I like the opportunity to work in and outside of the page protectors, and being able to see that all together here from some past projects makes me feel really good. I'm really happy to be able to look through those. All right, moving on to the next album. All right, and then here's a flip through of the second album after I went ahead and adhered some of the pages back to back, or any of the ones that I could. You can see on this one that there are still a mixture of ones that have something on the back and some that don't, and some of the page protectors that might be a little bit empty or maybe full now, depending on how I organize things. I think that this is a great example to, especially if you're somebody that's new to memory keeping, of the invitation to just dive in, right? To establish a story that you want to tell, just have fun telling the story. Use big photos. I use a ton of big photos. I write a lot. I have a ton of journaling. You can see represented here when you see these stories all together in one project. You can see, how much I like those single full-page photos and how much I like the long journaling. And those are two things that have been around for a long time. And I really do like playing with those different page sizes, and that's something I'm looking forward to doing more this year, where I'm working in an album like this front to back. But lots of good stories told here in these past projects inside this particular 6x8 album here. All right, let's take a look at this one. This one has a few more still blank sorts of things because, again, I wasn't working out of it in the same way that I'll be working out of it this year, where I'm actually looking at what is the next page in here and how can I continue on the stories. So I don't really feel like it's that big of a deal. And also, if I go back in and I do tell any more stories from 2021, whether they come up in a story kit or something else, then I can add those in here. Like, here's a good example. The back of this one that I made a little bit smaller, I need something else to go on the back of that and on here as well. But I'll just flip through here. Again, all I did was take the pages that I've already done and glue them back to back. Some places you can see that I did, where I was like, oh yeah, I worked in these 2 4x6 slots last time, so then I'll do that this time. So that's kind of how I want it to be in terms of going forward for this year. So it's really fun for me to look back through these. Again, a lot of these are from story kits over the last couple of years. And again, here's some other odd sized pages, right, where I could add something else in here. Paired with a few that you guys have probably seen. Definitely love doing things like this, whether it's inside of a spread or on its own, like you've seen in the other albums. Here's a place where I'm actually going to leave the edge on here too, because this one is living right along the edge. I would have had to adjust it a little bit more, so I'm fine with that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And here's another one where this is a good example where I could just print a photo and I could use this as the pattern paper and have an embellishment or something else on here that relates to the story that I'm telling over here. So I think I'll probably keep this album out. Well, they're all still out, but have a little easier access to it so that when I do end up doing some stories from 2021, I can easily build them into the foundations that I already have established here. Okay, I hope that was interesting and somewhat helpful to you as you might be diving into albums that you have started, or you're just getting your stories into homes, right? Again, I'm loving the 6x8 for the homes for my projects, whether they're inside or outside of the page protectors. And I hope giving you a peek inside how these have kind of come together and the upkeep that I'm doing just to get them more finished, quote unquote. Hope that inspires you to maybe take care of a few that you might have sitting out in a pile and get them into some albums. As always, let me know if you have questions, and we'll see you guys back here again next week.